episode of the Provocative Podcast. All right, guys, this podcast is a little bit hard for me to do. I think the last time I took a break from recording a podcast was like a few months ago. It's just me, so I have to plan everything. Obviously, Chris does all the electronic stuff, all the tech stuff, but doing the outline and obviously having to come up here and show up for you guys, it's just me. I don't have like anyone else who can like cover for me in case I'm like feeling down or I'm going through stuff. And it's just hard because I love the podcast so much and I want to come on here and show up for you guys, but unexpected stuff happens and it's hard. I usually record the podcast on Monday or Tuesdays, but because of the Dallas trip that we had this weekend, everything got pushed a little bit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to record it on Wednesday morning. Still gives us plenty of time to edit it and everything. But my mom got sick last night and she was in the hospital. And as you guys know, I'm not in Georgia with my family. So the doctors, she was in the emergency room and they thought she was having a stroke. And it was just probably the scariest night of my life, just trying to hear back from my sister, making sure my mom was okay. You know, like it was just everything at that point, like work, everything else just kind of like stopped. And I just focused on my mom. I didn't know if I was going to have to leave today to Georgia. But thankfully she is okay and it wasn't a stroke. She ended up having a procedure and they ended up giving her procedure earlier that day and they ended up giving her this anesthesia, and the anesthesia just did not sit well with her, and it was, her blood pressure was like 180 over, I don't remember what, but it was really high, and and she was really dehydrated, so it was just, thankfully it was that, but they ended up doing they did a CT scan, they did a spinal test, and everything came out good, thankfully. But yeah, I've never prayed so hard in my life, and I just didn't know what today was going to come about, and I didn't know if I was going to be here today to record for you guys. And to be honest, when I woke up this morning, that's like the last thing I wanted to do. And I'm like tearing up because it's hard to like come on here and I want to be like the best version of myself for you guys. But, you know, like thankfully she was okay, and even though she was okay, I was still kind of feeling some type of way. I didn't really sleep well last night and I was feeling kind of like sad. But thankfully I have Chris, and he was just like, you know what? She's okay. Like there's nothing you can do now. Like she's good. She's healthy. She's resting at home. Like she's going to be fine tomorrow. Like, you know, I think you need to go back to doing your normal routine, because if you just lay in bed all day, it's not going to help anyone. And I'm grateful to have him, because I think that's just a part of me that like I just completely shut down when like stuff like this happens. It's weird because when it's work related or something, I'm like the complete opposite. Like I'll find a way to make it work. But when it's like family or like stress like this, like personal stuff, like I just completely shut down and go full armadillo mode. And that's what I want to do today. But I'm glad I, got ready and I did the outline for the podcast. And I'm excited to be here today. Like I said, I love you guys. I love the podcast so much. Like I'm not making any money from this, guys. I hope you know that. Like right now, like I'm not making anything. I just literally want to show up for you guys and help as many of you guys as I can. You guys don't understand how much it means to me now. Like when people come up to me because of Instagram, I love it and I appreciate it. But when people come up to me because of my podcast, it's just a whole different level of appreciation. And the amount of messages that I have gotten from you ladies is like, even guys like saying how much you love the podcast and how much it's helping you in your daily life. Like it just, there's no words to express how I feel. And, I'm just so grateful to be on this journey and be able to share like my thoughts and feelings with you guys, and that you guys are benefiting from it. So I just wanted to have like a raw moment with you guys. But yeah, so this weekend, Chris did his show in Dallas and he got second place in his class, which is obviously not what we wanted. It's still great. He qualified for nationals, but it's not what we wanted. Thankfully, in a way, like we got his feedback the other day, and it wasn't anything big or anything, I guess, for me, like justifiable, but it is what it is. Like he came in the best that he has ever looked in his life. And what the game plan going forward is, the goal was to go to nationals this year, but now seeing him, even though he's like put on a lot of size, we're going to wait to go to nationals, just because nationals is a completely different beast. And he wants to step on stage, on national stage, like 100% confident that he's going to get his pro card. He doesn't want to feel small. The problem with Chris isn't the fact that he's like ripped or anything, because Chris is 100% dedicated to everything he does, like everything. Never complains or anything, but when it comes down to show is like his muscle size, and that's nothing you can change with a prep. That takes time and years to build muscle definition and build size, not even muscle definition, build size, mass. So and good mass, not just like a whatever bulk, like an actual clean muscle mass, right? So he went directly to off season already, so he's reversing a little bit. We got to enjoy a few days together, and yeah, now he's reversing. And I mean, I'm happy that our life will get back to normal. And yeah, like whatever decision he would have chosen, though, I would have been 100% on board. So now it's just growing season for him. So just wanted to update you guys on that. And then lastly, which leads me into today's topic about balance, is, the last few weeks, last month and a half, with me trying to prep for the run, doing spin, doing my workouts. My workout training has been really intense too. I've just overworked my ass, and I have been feeling it. And the last 2 weeks, I had been doing fasted cardio with Chris because I wanted to be by his side and do it with him. But I was doing that plus my workouts plus afternoon cardio. And I'm not the best eater. I will say, like, I don't like eat in a huge surplus. So it just caught up to me. Like I was like not losing weight, even though like I wasn't trying to lose weight, but the fact of like me doing more cardio and training harder, I should look tighter, and I should look like just tighter, not necessarily lose a few pounds, but look tighter. And I wasn't. I was like looking really bloated and watery, and it was affecting my mental health. And I was like, what the fuck's going on, Chris? And he's like, dude, you're overworking yourself. Like, you're not allowing your body to recover. And it's 100% true. I'm just like an extremist, and I go fucking balls to the walls with everything I do. And even though I wasn't super tired, now it like caught up to me. And so I didn't work out Saturday or Sunday because of the show. And then I got back home on Sunday afternoon, and then Monday I took off because I felt like I had the flu or some shit. But then by Tuesday I felt better. So this week I'm just kind of like easing my way back into the gym and like really finding a quote unquote a better balance, because I've just been going too hard, and I love going too hard. It's my problem, but I need to like take a step back and really focus on my health, because this going balls to the walls is just making me too tired. So anyways, it leads me to balance. I've gotten so many questions on how I balance my life, how I do everything, like with the gym, with my work, being a wife at home, cleaning everything, because a lot of you girls are like, your house is always so clean. How do you manage to do everything? So I've just written down some points of what's helped me in my life. But before we get into what's helped me, I want to point out two things about balance. And those two things is, okay, so there's two types of ways to use balance, right? And we'll go into like the way that I use it. But the first way is using balance as a reward. And the second way is using balance as an excuse. And I got this I was watching a motivational video from Andy Frisella the other day, and it made perfect sense. And I think it ties in really well with what I'm about to talk to you guys about. So using balance as a reward is you work extremely hard, you're on top of your goals, you're on a tight schedule, but you also know when it's necessary to take a break, right? And you take a break when needed, meaning you work really hard 8 months out of the year, and then you're like, okay, you know what? I deserve a vacation. You take a week off, you go on your vacation, you come back and you get back to grind mode, right? But then there's also using balance as an excuse, which a lot of people tend to use this one. And especially nowadays, for some reason, we're using this more. And that's where, a lot of people, they'll use this one. So like, for instance, you'll be like, oh, I'm trying to balance my fitness goals, and you'll use this balance as an excuse to eat out more because it's balance. Or like, for example, you're like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? But you get overwhelmed, or you get into like a tough situation, and then you're like, well, you know what? This burger isn't gonna hurt, or me not going to the gym this week isn't really gonna hurt. I need balance. But that's not really balance. That's just you using balance as a cop out and as a way to be like, okay, I can be lazy but get away with it because I'm calling it balance. So those are two of the ways that I feel like you can use balance, and you just really have to sit down and think about the way that you're using balance. And I will say, like, achieving a balance overall is hard, guys. Like, I have trouble with it, especially like I just told you guys, I'm an extremist, so I have a really hard time trying to balance my life. And more than anything, balance my personal like life with Chris and like my self mental help, because I prefer doing work and I prefer working all the time. And if I get into like the zone, like I will not want to stop working. Like it'll be very hard to put my computer or my iPad or my phone down like all the time. And all I'm thinking about is work, and it'll consume me. So I've been really trying to have like a set routine, especially on certain days, to like help me disconnect from my phone and disconnect from work, because guys, my phone is ringing all the time. Chris gets irritated sometimes because he's like, your fucking phone is ringing at like 11 p.m. and I'm the type of person that will want to answer like text messages, and like I know it's a bad habit to have, and he's like, your friends are needing you at 11 p.m. and it's not okay. Like you need to just like put your phone up, turn it off at a certain time, because this is not okay. So I just want to be real and honest with you guys that even though on the outside it seems like I have my life together and it's all balanced, it's not always like that. It's hard, and it's a constant work thing. Like you constantly have to work on finding this balance. But I just wanted to give you guys the two types of balance that you guys could look into your life and be like, okay, am I using balance as a reward, or am I using balance as an excuse to my life and to why I'm not finishing my goals, as to why I'm not doing things? So for me, I use balance as a reward, right? So I work really, really hard, and sometimes, like I said, too hard. But then I take a step back, like right now, and I'm like, okay, I'm overworked, obviously with the gym, right? Not with my work or anything like that. So right now, just with the gym, right? I feel overworked. So what I'm doing to balance it, quote unquote balance, is taking a step back, taking some rest days, really taking some rest days to let my body recover. When I feel good, like literally on Monday, I was like, I'm going to take the whole week off because my body needs it, right? Because I'm overworked. By Tuesday, by yesterday, I felt better. And honestly, on Monday, I wanted to work out so bad. Like I wanted to go, but then I started feeling sick and I was like, no, like I can't, because I know when I get there, I'm going to feel like complete shit and it's not going to be the best workout. So I took the whole day off. Then yesterday I felt really good. And even though I was going to take the whole week off, I was like, you know what? I feel good today. I would truly, honestly feel good. So I'm going to go to the gym, get a workout in. Was my workout amazing? No. I was hoping it was going to be amazing, but it wasn't. But then I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to take it off too. So today I'm taking a full day off. I'm going to spend some time outside. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do different ways to be active, but I'm going to take it off from the gym so that I can let my body recover. And then seeing how tomorrow I feel. If tomorrow I feel good, I can go back to, I can go to the gym and do another workout. But I want to take this week, like I said, and disconnect a little bit and let my body recover. And then maybe next week I can go back into my, training my 5 days a week plus my spin. But you just have to know, like, okay, when is the right time to use balance as a reward? And we do that with work all the time too. Like I know when I'm like, okay, I'm in the verge of having like a fucking meltdown, I need to plan like a mini vacation. And Chris and I will plan a mini vacation. We fucking went to Tulum in January because we knew that we had been working really hard all last year. I needed a little break. We had been with family too, and I needed some like one-on-one alone time. And we did that. So Chris and I are very good at using balance as a reward. So we know when it's time to, okay, like leave work, leave the gym, and have some us time. But you just have to make sure that you're not using your balance as laziness. And I will say, like, with the reward, you have to make sure you don't feel guilty about taking that break. And this is something I'm working on, because there's still times where I feel guilty for taking a break, and I feel guilty for having a balance, because I could be quote unquote doing more. There's always more that I can do. But that's true with anything. There's always going to be more that you can do, but you also have to prioritize your mental health, your health overall, so that you don't burn yourself out. Because thankfully, like, I'm in the position where, yeah, I felt like my body was burnt out and I can take a break. But if it was with work or something else, like, being burnt out sucks because it can really hurt your work. It can hurt the way that you're making money and everything. So you just want to make sure that you don't get to the point where you're completely burnt out. And I'm getting to the point where I don't feel guilty. Like, honestly, this week I didn't feel guilty, and I don't feel guilty today. I wanted to do spin, but I was like, you know what? No, especially with everything that happened last night with my mom. I'm like, I need to prioritize me. And I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I did, because I feel better, and I don't feel guilty for skipping a spin session today, because I know it was the right decision for me. Doesn't mean I'm lazy, because I know I'm not lazy. And that's the thing you have to differentiate. You need to be like, I'm not lazy. I'm not a lazy person, and I know that I will accomplish my goals. Or, you know what? I am a fucking lazy person, and I need to stop using excuses, and I need to stop using balance as an excuse for my lazy actions or whatever. So yeah, guys. So I just want to, like, be completely honest with you guys. Like, it's hard for me to find that balance, but I'm doing better. And these are the things that I use to help me, I guess, have a balance in my life. So what I do is I set my top 3 priorities. So number 1 is my relationship with Chris. That's always my number 1 priority. Like, are we good? Is my relationship having enough attention? Am I giving him enough attention? Because we've gone through stages where we're both so in our zone, in our work zone, that our love kind of relationship, our marriage kind of relationship takes a back seat, and then we end up getting disconnected, and we're like, kind of like, oh shit, we like kind of wake up one day and we're like, what the fuck? Like, we haven't really spent a lot of time with each other because all we've been doing is working. So we try to make sure that we're each other's priorities. We check in with each other throughout the day to make sure, like, okay, what time are you going to be done with work? So I can be done with work and we can sit down and spend some time together. So Chris is my number 1 priority. Number 2 is this podcast. Make sure that the podcast is my priority. I have, my outline, my talk for the week, our up to date on their socials. We're doing everything we can for the podcast, which right now isn't crazy amount of work, but that's number 2 is my priority. And number 3 is my socials, like my Instagram and my TikTok. That's my work, right? So I just need to make sure that I have everything set up for that, like, especially with my sponsors, with Dark Sport and Go. So I need to make sure that I have, like, my content for the month with them outlined. So I set my top 3 priorities, and then I will go on my calendar, which always helps, and I will set out things that I need to do for it. So, like, for the podcast, I'll set out my outlines for the month. For Dark Sport, I'll set out, like, okay, Dark Sport launches this week, so I need to make sure I get my stuff by this day so I can make my YouTube haul by this date. So I schedule and things like that. I'll schedule any, like, dates that Chris and I have. So I schedule from those top 3 priorities. I schedule everything. I try to schedule everything. With my social media, it's a little hard. That's kind of like daily on what I want to post, but I just make sure that, okay, this week I need to post 3 times a week, or this week I need to make sure I do this post. So I do write all that stuff down in my calendar, because those 3 things are my top priority, and I want to make sure that I get those done. And to be honest, like, lists are, like, my number 1 thing. Like, Chris makes fun of me because he doesn't understand my, like, notes. I have a bunch of random ass notes in my phone notes, but I understand them. I write them there. I know what they are. I go back and look at them and I know I know what each one means. And then I'll come home and I'll make lists of things that I have to do for the day or whatever. But making lists and checking them off is what helps me kind of, like, I love putting things to paper and then highlighting or checking them off and then throwing the sticky note away. That, like, really truly helps me, because it makes me feel, like, accomplished throughout the day. So just setting up my week and my month with my top 3 priorities helps me, because I already know my schedule, right? And then everything else from there will follow. So, like, my workouts, I know that I work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So right now I'm taking, like, Thursdays off, and I'll just do spin. So I kind of have my routine down of, like, what days I work out, what times I work out. I know typically what days I do spin. So that's kind of easy. And I'll switch around days if I absolutely need to, or, like, if I'm feeling too tired, I'll take a break. Like, I'm not scared to take a break if I need to take a break. But for the most part, my workouts are scheduled already too, because Britt records my videos for TikTok. So those are all planned out a week ahead of time, because we need to make sure we plan out content, and I need to make sure her schedule and calendar correlates with mine. So those are already planned. So I already know I already know my work schedule for the week. I know my relationship basically schedule for the week. Chris and I kind of go with the flow on the weekends, but I also know my fitness schedule for the week. So that helps. And then my other number 2 priorities, which are cleaning and friends. So I have my top 3 priorities, and then I have my other ones, right? Which is fitness, but that's already checked off because I already know what days I work out. The other 2 are my friends and obviously family. I catch up with family. I call my mom almost every single day, but we don't have family here, so there's really nothing I need to do with family here, but it's cleaning and friends. So thankfully with friends, I'm able to work out with a lot of my friends, so I get to catch up with them through my workouts, through our training. But, I do make sure to check in with my friends once a week. If I can go out to dinner with my friends once a week, great. I don't push it. I try to go out to dinner with my friends once a week. If anything, we'll do it every 2-3 weeks. Like I said, like the book club is something that we love doing. I feel like that's our time to really catch up with everyone. And of course, I have like my closer friends who I'll call every day. Like I call Relly like every day, maybe 3 times a day. Poor Relly. But I have my friends like that I'll call and check up on them every single day or whatever. But that's my way of balancing it all. And Chris is very understanding with me going out and having like my girls' night. And our girls' night is literally like just a dinner. I'll come home like at 10 p.m., like at a reasonable time. But that to me is like my way of, hanging out with my friends and balancing it. And I think you got to kind of look at your life and be like, okay, like, do your friends align with your lifestyle too? Because I feel like it would be very hard to balance friends if my friends were partiers or if they weren't in relationships and they wanted to go and party. I don't think that would be the case. Like, I wouldn't be able to go out and party with my friends. So I'm very grateful that the friends that I have the friends that I currently have align with what I want out of my life and are in relationships and aren't looking to party and get drunk on the weekends. And, cause I wouldn't do that. So that's another thing that helps me balance my friends. So maybe look into your life and be like, okay, like, are my friends in alignment with what I want? Because I can schedule them in if they are, but if they're not, then it's a little bit harder to try to balance your friends in your lifestyle. So that's something to think about too. And then the 5th thing is cleaning for me. Like, I have to have my house clean in order for me to feel fulfilled and to feel like my life is balanced, because I cannot have a dirty home. And thankfully I had a girl ask me, she was like, how do you keep your house clean with your Frenchies? And to be honest, it's fucking hard. Like, they're always shedding. It's always shedding. I clean my couch maybe 3-4 times a week. I'm like vacuuming it with my Dyson. And then I have like this roller. I don't let them on my bed, because if I let them on the bed, it's literally the day like that I'm going to wash my sheets, because I hate having the hairs on my bed. I'm also like very allergic on my face with like hairs and pollens and stuff. Like, if I literally hold Fendi or anything like that, my face will start like getting rashes and like really red. So I try not to get her on my bed and stuff, but I do put them on the couch. So that's why I say, like, I vacuum my couch 3-4 times a week. I vacuum my house like every day. Thankfully, I have the Roomba, so that helps too, because the Roomba, we can set it while we go to the gym, and by the time we get home from the gym, the whole house is vacuumed and clean, and it feels clean, because everything else I keep pretty clean. I wash dishes every day. I make sure the dishes aren't dirty when I leave the house for the gym, and the kitchen is always spotless. I always like to leave it spotless. And so the house is already clean. It's just like there's hair on the floor. So with the Roomba, it really helps just keep my house clean and vacuum. But if I don't run the Roomba that day, I'll vacuum. So those are like honestly my 5 things, which is my relationship, my podcast, my socials, my friends, and cleaning my house. And yeah, guys, it's not always easy to balance it all. Like, there are weeks that I barely have time for my friends, or there's weeks where I'm like, fuck, it's Friday and I barely have done laundry. And that's completely normal, guys. Like, your life is not always going to be at 100% quote unquote balance. But what I do is try to take every day and do what I can to make my life easier, right? I focus on the things, on my priorities that I need to get done. And if, like with cleaning, I make sure I don't leave a mess behind, because I know that if I leave that mess, I'm going to feel stressed. And I also like schedule in time. So for instance, on Thursdays, like we don't have a lot of work in the afternoon or whatever. So I'll tell Chris, like, hey, you can go do whatever you need to do, game, read, whatever. I need this hour and a half to like clean the room or organize my closet or organize my makeup, because I know that going into the weekend, I feel satisfied. I feel happy because I prioritize the things that I need to get done. I think what ends up happening is a lot of us end up procrastinating, and we procrastinate our things that we need to get done. And then that fucking makes a whole chaos in our lives, and our lives never feel balanced because there's a fucking chaos, because you keep procrastinating. You're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and something else is added on. And then the next day it comes and then something else is added on. So then you have all this stuff that you need to do that you could have had less stress on your life if you would have just done it when it needed to get done. So that's one thing with me. I try my hardest. I'm honestly not a procrastinator. I do my hardest to get shit done, unless like I'm super busy and the only thing I procrastinate is probably like making the bed or something like that. But other than that, I'm really good at not procrastinating. Procrastinating makes my fucking life more stressful and gives me like literally panic attacks. So I try my hardest not to procrastinate. But guys, there's no one right way to balance, and there's no one right way to do it all. And something I didn't even write down, but I think about like balancing my nutrition. Like I do really good like during the week. Like I just don't lifestyle is a fitness is a lifestyle for me now. Like I don't think of it as I'm dieting. I eat what I want to eat during the week. I try to stay like, to clean foods, not anything like super greasy or artificial stuff. I try to keep it clean. So then on the weekends, if I want to go enjoy something, I do, and I don't feel guilty about it. And even if during the week we end up eating out, I end up always choosing something healthy. Like honestly, right now, this last 3 days that Chris has been off prep and like been able to eat what he wants, I'm so tired. Thankfully today he went back on his plan. I'm like, oh God, thank God my stomach hurts. Because even though like yesterday we ate out, I still chose like egg whites and stuff. But the previous days I had pizza and I had burgers and I had like freaking French toast for breakfast, like a heavy French toast. And I'm like, my God, my stomach can't handle all this. I'm not used to this. And I like having my routine and I love eating healthy, but then I also love going out on the weekends and enjoying food with him. It's something that we do together. So I have a pretty good balance there because I've worked on having that balance and I'm not too restrictive on the things, and because I genuinely enjoy what I eat. So everyone has their own balance, guys, and it's just up to you to figure out your own balance. But honestly, don't get my biggest tip is don't get balance confused with laziness, and actually, set a routine, have a routine for what you want to accomplish in your life, because that's going to help. And stop setting 5 to 10 fucking priorities, because you're going to feel overwhelmed. I set those 3 top priorities. Friends and cleaning are obviously on my top 5, but if they make it, they make it. If not, then I try not really hard not to stress about it, but I just make sure that my work is good and my relationship is good. And as long as those 2 things are good and my family back at home, I try my hardest not to stress over the little things. Sometimes it's hard because, I'm a Virgo and I like things perfectionist, but I try my hardest not to, because it also stresses Chris out when I'm too much. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to, state that. And then as far as like my mental health on how I balance that, like I have been trying to take time to like really focus on me. I started therapy about 2 months ago in February, March, April. Yeah, 3 months ago. And I love it. I meet with her every 2-3 weeks. She's really helped me a lot. And so I do therapy. I read. I'm doing more of going outside and spending time outside, because my therapist and I realize that that's my safe space. And sometimes I get lazy and I'm like, okay, I have other things to do than just go sit outside. But that's what grounds me and that's what helps me. So I am trying to prioritize spending more time outdoors, which I love. And hopefully if we get our pool this year, that'll be something that's where honestly I'll be the most of the time. But yeah, I do take time for my mental health. And, I take a day during the week where I just do me, and I go shopping if I want to go shopping, or I'll stay home and just read and not do anything else, which is usually Thursdays for me. But I do make the effort to make time for myself. And then every day, like when I work, before I work, I'll either, read a book, like a little chapter of a book, or I'll read something motivational, or I'll do something for my mental health, whether that is reading or listening to a podcast, whatever I feel like I need that day, I'll do that to kind of help me set the tone for that day. But it's hard, guys. Okay. We're human. It's hard to balance it all out. I don't have this perfect fucking thing to tell you guys, or like, hey, do this, and then you'll have this balanced life, because it doesn't work that way. Everyone has different jobs. Everyone has different things they go through every day, families, children, relationships. There's so much, right? But as long as you're doing your best every day and you're giving it your best, that's all that matters. And I think that's where you'll end up realizing, okay, am I doing balance as a reward, or am I doing balance as an excuse? Because if you're giving your best every day, that's all that matters. You're not lazy. Some days you'll be able to give your best at 100%, and some days, for some reason, your best will be at 60%. But that's okay. As long as you know that you gave it your best that day, that's all that matters. And, I just wanted to leave that, because I promise you guys, my life may seem perfect on the outside with like how clean I am and like how together I am and everything, but it's a constant work, and I'm constantly working on finding the balance within myself and, making sure that every area of my life is checked off. But another thing before we get off, and I close the podcast, is I listened to something this past weekend, and it resonated with me. So I wanted to share with you guys. And that's that, I have never been super talented at anything. Like, to be honest, at anything. I'm not good at sports. I'm not incredibly fucking book smart. I wasn't talented with music. Like, I'm just not a talented person. And growing up and like, just growing up and getting in as an adult and seeing everyone around me, it was hard to not compare and not to think you're good enough, because you don't have this like thing that you're good at. But something I learned this weekend is it doesn't fucking matter if you're not good at something or you're not gifted in something. As long as you are a hard worker, that's all that matters. And I know that I am. And that's what has helped me get to where I'm at, is because I'm a fucking hard worker. I may not be book smart. I may not be super talented. I was never the best at anything, but I know that I'm a fucking hard worker, and I'll give everything I have my 100%. And that's all that matters. And that's all that determines your success. It doesn't matter if you're super talented at basketball. If you don't practice and you don't do the things that you need to do, you're never going to be successful at it. Someone can literally outwork you even if you have talent. So just keep that in mind, because it resonated with me a lot this weekend. Andy Frisella said that he wasn't ever talented, but look at where he's at now, because he's a fucking hard worker. And it just resonated with me, because I always thought that, I always felt some sort of way because I wasn't talented at something, or I wasn't the best at something. But then like hearing him, like what he had to say about that made me feel so much more confident in who I am as a person. And at like I may not be the best, but I'm going to fucking outwork anybody. So, just to keep that in mind, you don't have to be the best at everything, but as long as you're willing to work hard, that's all that matters. But thank you guys so much for listening if you made it all the way through. Like I said, I really love you guys. I really appreciate all the support that I get from you guys. It truly means so much. And before we get off, the merch, the shirts, I'm wearing one of the shirts if you're watching the YouTube video right now. We'll be launching this Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you guys are on that. They're limited quantities. So I hope that you guys can support the podcast by getting the merch. And then there's also a new follow button on the Apple app. So you can click it on the right. There's like a little follow button. It's a little check mark. So make sure that you guys are following the provocative on there, because it helps your girl out. And don't forget to share the episode, guys. If it resonated with you, if you could share it on your socials, or share it with your friends or family or whoever you think it could resonate with, that would be awesome, because that's the way we can spread awareness of the podcast, and we can keep growing, and I can do meetups, and we can just, take on the world together. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.